Hi, welcome to the St. Peter Armenian Church and Youth Ministry Center. This is a beautiful facility that we entered in 2003, and here we are in 2024, some 21 years later, exactly to the date we opened the doors to this beautiful church on Palm Sunday, and here it is Easter week. We're going to be closing it up. And I thought I'd give you a little tour of this beautiful facility, and more importantly, what it really accomplished, the mission that accomplished. It was called the Youth Ministry Center because it sits directly across three campuses here in the Glendale area, which we have uniquely identified as Ground Zero. This was an area back in 2003 that nobody really cared about. The youth, nobody cared about what was going on in the social circumstances. Armenia had only been independent for 10 years, and in that time, many families had come here, migrated here, and we saw all kinds of social problems. And this one little haven was giving them hope, especially to the young people. So here we are, 21 years later, and I wanted to just share with you this beautiful facility. What you see directly behind you or across from me is the stained glass window with Jesus' welcoming arms, but also Holy Echmiadzin. In other words, we have a mission here. It's tying people with something greater than themselves. Of course, the God energy that's there, and here on earth, that holy church, Echmiadzin. Let's go. We'll go over to the altar right now. So walking down this beautiful aisle here, these pews that you see were part of the original church when we first bought it. This was a church, a Protestant community had been using this church. And when we got it in 2003, these pews were pretty used up. They had seen a life. And the owner of the property, Mr. Onik Morabian, owned a car dealership. He took all of these, we took all of these pews there and actually had them painted in the car dealership. What you see around you is really a community effort. That's why I bring it up. That really people felt so close to this church. It was a homey church, and people would just come here to share whatever they had, their personalities, their selves, their time, their energy, all around a common faith. And that's what you're seeing inside this area, many of the pictures which were donated by the faithful people. The altar area was constructed out of wood. It was a gentleman named Mike Garagos who actually put together this beautiful altar. It was his idea to put it together in this fashion because we wanted to reflect the hominess of this facility, that it wasn't really a overwhelming place, but a place where people could come and offer their gifts, where they could come and find sanctity and solitude. On the side here, you see the baptism font. We uniquely placed it inside of the church rather than outside or in a vestry in some place away from the actual altar area, to remind us that in the early Christian communities, this was about being part of the congregation. So the child would be baptized and then immediately in the church would receive communion. And this was part of the entire celebration of bringing people into the church, into the larger fold of the community. You see the traditions of the Armenian church with the main center altar, the side altars with chalices in there. And directly in front of the altar, you find two khachkars. These khachkars were dedicated back in 2005 on the 90th anniversary of the Armenian genocide. In a few moments, we'll be going back there, and there is a beautiful icon that was dedicated in 2015 on the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide. These I bring up because the genocide was really part of how this church all came together. The idea that we're here in Glendale away from Armenia is only because the result of an exile that was from our homeland after that genocide. But we'll get into a little bit more. Just wanted you to see this facility. Now we'll go towards the back of the church and check out these beautiful murals. So join me. Let's go back that way. So in the back of the church here, we have these beautiful murals, and we're going to take a look at this particular one, which is, we called the Armenian family. Arpine Shahbandarian was the artist on these. We asked her to do these murals to reflect what this church was all about. And this is the Holy Family, Jesus in the center, and people of all ages and all types all around. Many of the congregants were the actual models for these murals, and they have stood here for the last 20 years as a reminder that our focus is about the family. Our focus is about the love bonds that exist between different members of the family, and they are non-restrictive. You will see that there are people of all kinds, all types, ages too. And it's just a beautiful reflection of what we did over here. It says up at the top, Yesim janabari ev jshmardutuni ev gyank voch voka arhair yete voch inen. And this is to say, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one goes to the Father except through me. And we honestly believe that, you know, as the incarnation of love, this is the path. The path of love is what brings us, unites us to God. Let's take a look on the other side now. So on the other side, we find another mural, and this mural reflects the birth of our church and the birth of our faith. This is Saint Gayane and Haripsame. On the side is Saint Peter, which he traditionally in iconography, he holds the keys to the kingdom. And so that is reflected in that image. But the two ladies that you see here, Haripsame and Gayane, were the beginning of our faith, our Armenian Christian faith. Because of them, St. Gregory the Illuminator in Armenia was released from the pit, and that beautiful story comes together in the culmination of the church. And you see the structure right next to him, that the church was born out of the faith of the people. On the extreme side, you see an icon, which I alluded to earlier. This was dedicated on the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide in 2015, and it was consecrated with Holy Miron. It became an official icon of our church, and this consecrated mural reflects our people during the last 100 years, the birth of our people. And in the center is the cross, in the center is the Armenian church, and from it is reflected the new life, the new resurrected people of the Armenian nation. A very beautiful and appropriate icon, and of course right in front of it is an area where worshipers can come and light their candle and make an offering of prayer and incense. So these two beautiful murals that I showcased right now really are the backdrop of our church. And that's it. What you see is a beautiful space that became alive because of the faith of the people. I have to mention here too that Dr. Hrar Dekmedjian, a deacon of the church, a prolific political scientist who was many times been quoted through the years, was our choir director. And very unique in this church, we never had choir robes. We never sectioned off people. The entire community sang in the worship. And so as I look back on this church and look at the imagery, and I look at the empty seats here, I remember the many years when we would pack this place and we would have the entire congregation singing our Armenian sharagans and participating in the liturgy. So in 2003, when this church was offered to me, I said, okay, well, this is a church, very nice. It could be used for church purposes, but I told Mr. Marabian, I said, you know, I'm the youth minister, I youth director for the diocese. I said, I was really looking for something that I could do youth ministry. And he took me through the whole church, and I was very impressed, but never realized where I was. And I opened these doors this way, exactly. I came out these doors that day. It was nighttime, and when I opened the doors, I saw this cluster of school. We have Hoover High School, we have Toll Middle School, Mark Keppel Elementary School. It's a cluster of schools where the majority of the population of the student body is Armenian. And I had I had tears in my eyes that day. I'll never forget it. Because when you pray for a youth ministry, God doesn't take you to the old age home, doesn't take you to the convalescent home. He takes you to the schools. And this is where he brought us. And this youth ministry functioned for several years with these children coming here where they would study. We had students from USC, UCLA, Glendale College coming here as mentors for these children who would come here. They would study down in the basement. They would come into the church. We'd have Bible studies. We'd have opportunities for them to grow spiritually and, of course, as part of the community. It was a very special effort that took place here because of the prayers of the people, because I truly believe it was God ordained. That is the story of the St. Peter Armenian Church and Youth Ministry Center. Thanks for joining us.